Welcome to Jewels of the Trade Live. Last week, we showed natural jadeite jade bangles side by side and compared qualities and prices, so check out the link in the video description if you missed it. This channel is all about jewelry and gemstones, so hit that subscribe button if you're a jewelry customer, collector, or connoisseur. I asked last week's audience what quality comparison video they wanted to see next, and the answer was loud and clear: beads, jade bead necklaces. Before we get started, I'd like to thank Mason K. Jade for sending these beads to share with the JOT audience. If you'd like to buy any of these pieces, just visit the link in the video description or email chris@masonk.com. Let's get started with these beads here. This strand is 23 inches long and has a 14 karat yellow gold clasp. These beads are considered light green in color and range from 8.5 millimeter to 9 millimeter in size. How much do you think this strand costs? Let me know in the chat. It requires a lot of material to cut beads, so the cost has to factor in the excess material that is cut away as well, which is why matching jade bead strands tend to be pretty valuable. These beads, along with all of the beads in this video, have been tested and guaranteed natural, meaning untreated, aka free of dyes and or polymer, wax, or resin impregnation. If you're interested in purchasing a strand of jade beads for yourself, you can visit the link in the video description and use the discount code JOT, J-O-T-T, at checkout. Using the discount code helps support this channel and saves you 10% off your order, plus you get another 20% off your order if you're a first-time customer. Did you guys guess the price? Let's check the chat and see what everybody's saying. Hi, Elizabeth. So great to have you. Welcome. Luis, I'm glad you made it. MR, aloha, back to you. I'm so glad everybody's here. Let's go ahead and reveal the price of this strand. So these beads cost $990, which is a fair price for natural jadeite jade beads that are matched in this color and without noticeable fractures, dry spots, or inclusions. Keep that in mind. If you're shopping on the internet and see a strand of bright apple green jade beads selling for this price, if they're similar in size to this but are a vivid color of green, they're probably either treated or a simulant. We always say in jade, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Next strand, these beads are graduated from around 4 millimeter to 7.5 millimeter in size. They're well rounded, and the strand is 28 inches in length. How much do you think this strand costs? Let me know in the chat. These beads are not uniform in color. They are a mix of light apple green to medium apple green with a whitish yellow. And some of the beads have a bright pop of green, which we'll take a closer look at in a second. So these actually have a 14 karat yellow gold, like a pearl clasp. So really easy to use. And then it's really long. I mean, look how long it is. So it's actually really perfect if you're wanting to layer it with other necklaces, and having the smaller bead size makes it great for everyday wear as well. You can see these are much more saturated than the first strand of beads that we looked at, but not as well matched. The quality factors for jade bead valuing are color, translucency, texture, matching, shape, and cut, meaning you want consistent, smooth drill holes that aren't too large or too small. So the cut really does matter and the shape really does matter. But to be honest, when you're shopping for a fun, inexpensive strand, I think having unmatched beads gives the necklace a lot of character. What do you think? Let me know in the chat or comments if you prefer uniformly matched beads or an eclectic variety of unmatched beads. So, and I think you can actually tell even more so when it's not up close, just how much more saturated the second strand is than the first. Now you can tell the first is a lot more uniform and the beads are larger, but the second strand is going to be valued higher because it's longer and more vivid in color. Up close, you can see vivid pops of apple green color and even beads that are like half green and half yellow. These beads are opaque and have almost no translucency at all. This might not be an expensive strand, but it has a lot of personality. You can see visible inclusions where color has concentrated inside the stone. Maybe it's chromium, maybe it's iron, but if there are fractures, they are not surface reaching. So the beads feel smooth and comfortable, especially combined with the fact that they are lightweight due to their size. Did you leave your price guesses in the chat? Let's see what everybody is saying. How much do we think this one is worth? Oscar, I'm so glad you made it. Hello, welcome. Erica guessed 500. Oscar, a lot closer with the guess for 1,450. Michael likes the more eclectic style. Yeah, I asked the chat if you guys prefer more uniform and traditional or more funky and eclectic. We're definitely showing both today. Let's go ahead and reveal the price. Let's see. It's this one. $1,745 for the more saturated but unmatched strand. So you can see that they are more valuable than the less saturated strand, a testament to the value of color. But because these beads are opaque, not well matched, and have a lot of yellow in them, they're not that much more than the light green strand, which is well matched and uniform in color. Okay, let's go ahead and show this next one. This one is so beautiful. And look how long. It's so long. And in fact, I guess, did you guys ask me to put it on? I guess I'll put it on. Oh, darn. So you can see it looks really nice with my fine strand. This is like a pretty long strand. So how much do you think these beads are worth? They range from 6mm to 9mm in bead size, are more uniform in color, and better matched to each other. But they still have noticeable inconsistencies in texture when viewed up close, and while more saturated than the first strand we saw, are a light green color. So I want to actually show, it's really hard to tell with the white background, but I think like from a distance, this is the first strand that we saw, and then this is the third strand. So I think side by side, you can really tell that there is a difference in saturation. And while it's not as noticeable in the studio lighting with the white background, I think it's a lot more noticeable in real life. These are totally classic, an absolute must-have for a jade shopper, and they layer well with other necklaces due to the 28-inch length. The color is a very recognizable and traditional jadeite jade color. You would definitely not confuse these beads with nephrite. So here's an example where personal opinion is not necessarily dictated by value. Which strand do you guys like better? The funky, unmatched strand on the left or the uniform strand on the right? Keep in mind, they're both 28 inches long, but there's a pretty big difference in bead size, with the largest bead on the left being 7mm and the largest bead on the necklace on the right being 9mm. It's obvious the necklace on the right is more valuable because of bead size, matching, and uniformity of color, but is it your favorite of the two? Be honest. Let me know. You can see the texture a little bit better here. These beads are also opaque, but have a great luster. Gemologically speaking, they have a glassy luster, but in person, I think they have more of a buttery luster, which is just a made-up word I use to refer to jadeite jade with luster that is noticeably both glassy and greasy, so it looks extra smooth and rubbable. Okay, so did you guys leave your price guesses for this strand in the chat? Let's take a look and see what everybody is saying. $1,250. Whoa. I know, right? 2,500. Erica is always so amazing at the price guesses. Erica, I'm so glad that you're here. Shasha Keela is saying 2,000. Preferring the unmatched. Elizabeth also prefers the unmatched. Oh my goodness, you guys. So it's so crazy how it's not always what's traditional that's going to speak to you. It's not always even what's most expensive that's going to speak to you. Like, it just matters, what do you love? What do you gravitate towards? And what has a presence that really captures, you know what I mean? Like your interest. So I think it's time for the big price reveal. $2,115. So you guys were really, really close. Like, I feel like all the guesses were really close on this one. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay. Now we're talking. We're getting fancy. So this strand is 22 inches long. It has a 14 karat yellow gold clasp. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's the signature Mason K clasp. So when you see that MK, like if you were buying something that's like estate or secondhand and you see that MK, that is a clasp from Mason K. As always, I recommend if you're buying jade secondhand and it comes with like a cert or a gem report, whatever lab issued that gem report, for instance, if Mason K issued a gem report that came with one of their purchases, I do recommend calling Mason K or the lab that issued the report and just verifying that it's the same piece, because of course reports can be forged. But I will say little tiny details like that can be a pretty good indicator too that it actually came from Mason K. Not that you can't just take a Mason K clasp and put it on fake beads. That is definitely possible too. This color is superior to the other pieces that we've looked at, more saturated with a better tone. This is a really nice strand. We've jumped up quite a bit in price. How much do you think these are worth? These beads are graduated from around 8mm to 9mm in size. This strand is 22 inches long and the color is considered apple green. Fantastic luster on these, but the texture is not considered fine because there is some white mottling. Even though the overall color is well matched in this strand, the beads have enough texture variation that it keeps the price down from what it could be. The value would be higher if the beads were a more saturated and darker green and if they were more uniform in texture. So that makes this price a lot better than you'd expect. The beads are all round with a good shape and a good cut. I'm not going to lie, the color looks better in real life too than it does on camera. Keep that in mind when shopping online. Jade is notoriously hard to capture and will usually look a little bit different in person depending on the lighting. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell here, but this is the previous strand that we looked at, and then this is the strand that we're looking at right now. It's kind of hard to tell, but they're a much more vivid color. Last call for price guesses. Don't forget to leave all of your Jade questions in the chat. And for those watching this after the fact, please refer to the timestamps in the video description if you're looking for an answer to a particular bead-related question. All right, let's see what everybody's guessing the price to be. Yeah, ooh, mint green. I love that. It is a mint green. What a great word. Excellent. That's fantastic, Shashakila. 3,100, very good guess. 3,200. Shashakila says, yo, Erica. Excellent. So, are you guys ready? Are you ready for the big price reveal? The price on these beads, $5,965 for the strand that is longer but has larger size beads and better saturation. So I have a quick question for everybody in the chat and comments. Last week we covered comparing jade bangle quality, and today we're discussing jade bead quality comparisons. What do you want to see next? Do you like the quality comparisons? Do you want to see more types of jade jewelry compared so that you can better understand quality and value? Let me know what you want to see next. So these are the second best beads I'll be showing today. These are really, really fantastic. Take a look. 25 inches long, pretty long, right? And then 18 karat clasp. And it's a Mason, like a signature Mason K clasp. Really beautiful color. Absolutely gorgeous. So you can see these are excellent quality, nice green color, hard to find in beads. Obviously, the nicer the quality, the harder it is to get a whole strand of match beads out of it because the color has to take up more of the boulder. A cab, like a cabochon in this color is nice, but matching beads in this color is like a huge deal. So leave your price guesses in the chat. A darker tone than the previous strand we looked at, these beads are more saturated, still matching in color and actually pretty well matched in size. Usually, finer strands are graduated because of the limitations of the material in the jade rough. So it's really impressive that these beads are so close to uniform in size. I mean, these are nice. If I were a customer and I wanted to buy this strand, I would not just order it based on this video. Yes, you heard that correctly. So for instance, if I were a customer, I would email Christina. So I would email chris@masonk.com and say, hey, I saw these beads on Jot. I'm interested. Can you send me more photos? Maybe in like regular everyday lighting. Because when you're shopping for a high quality strand, you want to see them in natural light. maybe even under a table where there isn't direct light on them, etc. Don't be afraid to ask for more information when you're spending this kind of money on jewelry. There is nothing about this strand that would surprise you necessarily, but you just want to be really, really confident in your purchase. So make sure it's what you think it is, and don't be afraid to ask for examples, or ask for more pictures or ask questions about the piece. Like, you are not bothering the salesperson if you email them and reach out for more information. Also, jade is not like pearls. Yes, you have to fall in love with the strand, but if you go to a seller and you say you want a very specific size of a bead in jade and you want a very specific color, it's going to be really tough for them to source jade according to like really, really, really tight specifications. Jade is cut to the best use of the rough. There isn't enough high quality jadeite jade material like this for people to just order custom cut designs. If it's the color you like and it's the price you're willing to pay, don't get wrapped around the axle on bead size or necklace length, because if it sells and you don't find your very specific strand, you might miss out on something incredible and regret it. I'm not saying you get what you get when it comes to jade, but remember how rare this material really is. It's not mass produced or 3D printed. Jade beads like this don't even come from multiple different countries. Availability is limited, and that's part of what makes it so special. Did you guys guess the price on these? Let's see what the chat has to say. Shashakila says, I'm going to pass out. I know, these pieces are so fabulous. Now we're talking. 7,500, great guess. I think so. It says 1,200, but I think Erica meant 12,000, which is also a very, very good guess. These are fantastic guesses. Okay, are we ready? Are we ready for the price reveal? All right, a pretty big jump in price here with these beads valued at $9,850. Now, are you ready? Let's check out the fine strand. Like, if you didn't pass out before, you're definitely going to now. Are you ready? Oh, I got to take them off. I'm so sad to take them off. It's time. It's time. Okay. The beads on the left are the ones we just looked at, and the beads on the right are the fine strand. We have jumped up a lot in price and quality. How much do you think the strand on the right is worth? Better color, better texture, better translucency, a graduated strand with beads up to 9.5 millimeter. So some of the beads are larger, but not all of them. Incredible luster. The strand on the right is really special. So this strand is 28 inches long. The beads are around 5 millimeter to 9.5 millimeter. The clasp is 18 karat yellow gold, of course, because it's a fine strand. This color is iconic jadeite jade color. This is what the treated jades and jade simulants wish they were. And of course, the clasp is really easy to use. It's a pearl clasp. This is what we call it in the trade. We call it a pearl clasp, but obviously it can be on jade too. We should call them all jade clasps. These beads are not considered imperial. Imperial jade beads would be finer than this. They would be darker, more even, have less inclusions, and have an internal glow from their high translucency. True, imperial jade is exceptionally rare and very expensive. But if this is in your budget, grab it. Even though it isn't imperial, it's very rare. It's a great price for the color, and it is a knockout strand. So what does everyone think of these beads? How much do you think they're worth? I'm excited to see all of the messages in the chat. I just wanted to reiterate too that this is natural color. No treatment. They came out of the ground this way. They might have like a thin coating of beeswax, but the beeswax coating is not visible to the eye. It's not permanent, and it does not affect the value of the stone. In fact, the beeswax coating helps protect the stone, so it's definitely a good thing. Are we ready? Are we ready for the price reveal? Oh, wait, I should put them back on. I didn't like being so far away from them. I want to keep wearing them. They're so beautiful. Look how long they are. All of these strands are so long. I should have backed my camera up more. Okay, let's see what everybody's price guesses are. My dream come true. That's what they should be called. You know how like horses have like really long names? Jade strands should also have really long names. $20,000. Excellent guess. Excellent. $16,000. Great job, Erica. You guys are doing so awesome. Yeah, Mason K said, okay, to get like to imagine how rare and how exceptional this is, like picture each bead as 2 round cabochons. Like, that's so much material. That's so much of a boulder. I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of jadeite jade boulders where they slice them and then they open it up and you can see like all of this modeling where it's like white and green. There's like patches of green and patches of lavender. And then around the edge of the boulder, it's like yellow and red. It's usually not like you open it up and it's just all green. That's really unusual. So being able to get this much material in this color matched, good quality in a I just can't even. It's just amazing. 21,000, great guess, Nico. Oh my, yes, I know. This is just such a beautiful strand. Okay. Are we ready? Are we ready for the price reveal? I think it's time. I'm not going to lie. My guess on these was actually higher. So I had guessed over 30,000. I'm not sure why they're only 28,000 and not 34 or 35,000. I think it's probably just it's a good price and maybe it's because the smallest beads are only 5 millimeter. Even though the largest beads on this strand are 9.5 millimeter, which is like a really good size, it seems to me like strands uniform in size are considerably more desirable, right? Because it would be so much harder to get out of the rough because it means that you have to have more green matched material. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that just affects the price really differently. I bet if these were all the same size, it would be so much more expensive. A strand this fine is not going to be on the Mason K website. So if you wanted to order this one, you would have to contact them directly. So you could actually email chris@masonk.com. That's KRIS at masonk.com. Definitely mention Jewels of the Trade if you buy it, because then I can show even more fine quality pieces on this channel. So it's time for questions. The first question I had, what if my jade bead strand breaks? So this does happen from time to time. And I will say it usually can be prevented. So I'll be sure to share those tips here in a minute. If your jade beads, like if the cord or the silk that it's on breaks, you can usually take it to your local independent jeweler to have it restrung. If you bought your necklace from Mason K, they'll obviously restring it for you. So ask the seller that you're looking at about options for like warranties and future repairs. It is really, really normal though to have your jade beads restrung, which leads us to our next question. How often do jade beads have to be restrung? If you were wearing your strand of jade beads like every single day, it's just like pearls. And if you're sleeping in them and wearing them constantly and like moving and doing stuff in them, you're going to need to have them restrung every 1 to 3 years. Now, it doesn't have to be that way, but that is pretty normal. That is pretty standard. If you take them off before you get in the shower, remove them before you go swimming or get in the hot tub, that's going to go a long way. If you don't sleep in them, that's going to go a long way towards like just like maintaining that longevity of the knots between the stones. So if you don't pull on them, you know what I'm saying? Like if you just take care of it and don't get it wet a lot, then it might last longer than 3 years. But you definitely want to, every time you remove the strand, you want to examine the knots between the beads and just like take a close look at them and check them out and make sure they don't look loose, that they're not fraying a lot, and just kind of monitor that. And when it starts to look like, oh, I think I need to have this restrung, have it restrung before it breaks. And it's not always gonna break, but a lot of people have it restrung just because, the beads start to look a little iffy once the string has stretched out. So it's a normal part of maintenance. It's not that expensive. It's something that you should expect to have done. What if you buy a strand of jade beads and the knots are really tight and the stones are kind of like kinked? Don't worry, as you wear your strand, that will work itself out. So typically, like jade beads are going to be strung on silk, or if not silk, what's it called? Like a polycore, like kind of like a polymer type string. And so if you just like wear it and kind of like rub it and even kind of like gently pull on it a little bit, that'll kind of soften those knots and then it'll lay a lot more naturally. Are jade beads an investment? I love this question. Jade is not an investment. Jewelry is not an investment. You never ever know what's going to happen to the jewelry market, right? Because it could go up or it could go down. So if a salesperson is trying to get you to buy something because they say it's an investment, in my opinion, that is very, very, very sketchy. Now, Are Barbara Hutton's beads that sold for like 20 something $1 million in investment? Yeah, possibly. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're getting into like the millions of dollars, like one of a kind collector pieces with provenance, probably a pretty good bet that something like that is going to be an investment. But don't go into jade shopping because you think you're going to be able to like sell it and turn a profit or something like that, because that is not guaranteed. And while that has happened and does happen, buy a strand of jade because you love it, because you want to wear it, because you want to pass it down. It is always a huge risk to buy jewelry thinking that it's an investment because you just don't know what's going to happen. What are jade pearls? So I've heard this term a lot in the industry. It's just a strand of jade beads. So I think back in the day, people thought of bead necklaces as pearls. And so when they saw other types of gemstone beads, they just called them pearls too. So that's just what jade pearls means. It just means it's a strand of jade beads. Is there a grading system for jade beads? There is not a uniform grading system for jade or any other there's not a universal grading system for jade or any other colored gemstone. So, with that in mind, the quality factors are going to be pretty much the same across the board. Most sellers are going to identify the same quality factors for jade beads, which is color, translucency, texture, the matching, which means like how well do they match, the shape, how well are they rounded, and the cut, referring most of the time to the drill hole, right? It can't be too big, it can't be too small, it can't be too inconsistent throughout the strand. A lot of times they'll polish the inside of the drill hole, especially on a finer strand. So those are going to be your quality factors. That's what a seller is looking at when they're pricing it. That's what an appraiser is looking at when they're valuing it. And that's what you, the customer, should also look at if you're wanting to buy a fine strand of jade beads. How are jade beads made? Great question. So jade beads used to be made by hand for like thousands of years. It was very, very like that was the only way to do it. However, today, thanks to like electronics and technology, there are machines that will polish jade beads into spheres. So that's why when you look at like ancient Mesoamerican jade beads that have been unearthed from archaeological digs, they're usually not round. They're usually like kind of elongated and they're not necessarily uniform. But today's jade beads tend to be round like pearls. All right, let's see what else we have. Oh, Mason K says, please don't wear your jade in the hot tub or pool. So important. And that goes for all jade jewelry, not just your stranded jade beads. If you have a jade ring, especially, because if your ring is made of gold, actually, if any of your jewelry is made of gold, the chlorine in a swimming pool or in a hot tub will actually eat the gold. So just don't. Like, your jewelry is valuable. It's important. You want to pass it down. Take it off before you get in the hot tub. Small thing. So anyways, who showers wearing jewelry? Crazy. I know, right? Sleep with them on. Come on. You guys are cracking me up. This is so funny. Would love to see a piece of real imperial jade. So let's talk about this for a second. The term imperial jade is kind of thrown around willy-nilly. The term imperial, as I'm sure you guys know, should only refer to the range that is the highest quality of natural jadeite jade. Usually it refers to green, but you can, if you say like imperial yellow or imperial lavender, people know what you mean. But if you just say imperial jade, that usually means green. And imperial jade is defined by its extremely high translucency that gives it this very ethereal inner glow, a vivid, well-saturated dark green color, and an even texture. So typically, you're not going to see an imperial jade piece, honestly, for less than like $50,000. I mean, really, you might even see pieces that are 50 or 60 or $70,000 that aren't imperial, honestly. So think like $50,000 to $100,000 minimum ish for true imperial jade.